Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining me today on this episode of Music Collecting. I've been going pretty heavy on the comics and toys and things of that nature, video games, and I just think I need to take a little bit of a break with all that stuff. And I really wanted to kind of do a video on my love of music. I absolutely love music. There's many things I can live without. Music is not one of them. It's a deal breaker. No music, no life. So, jokes aside, I'm going to share with you some of the pickups that I've done in the last month and a half, 2 months. When I'm out buying games, stuff like that, I'm always buying music as well, picking up CDs or ordering CDs and stuff like that, DVDs. So, with that, let's maybe get into some of this. I got this big pile here, so it'll be fun to get through some of this stuff. They're not in any particular order. But I thought for sure, let's just jump into some of the CDs here. I was going to grab a stack. There's a few. First on the list is, I've owned this album many, many times over the years. This is Tom Waits, his album Real Gone. And I find that this is, if you like Tom Waits, I find that this is peak Tom Waits. It's really hard to explain. Tom Waits is such a unique artist that he defines categories and stuff like that. So, but it's an incredible listen. Next on the list is The Pretty Reckless. This album, I think, is their third album maybe. And it's Straight to Hell. Going to Hell by The Pretty Reckless. This is a really good album. I remember buying this when it came out years and years and years ago. Next up is Puscifer, their new album. Love Puscifer. Maynard James Keenan of Tool. This is one of his many bands, but he seems to be putting a lot of his time and attention into Puscifer the last many years. This is a fun one. This is a promotional DVD of the White Stripes. Picked this up used, never saw it before. It just has 4 music videos on it. And we'll just do a close-up of it if you like. Take a look. Love the White Stripes. They are absolutely a favorite of mine. Next up is Ozzy Osbourne, No Rest for the Wicked. And this is the anniversary edition, so it comes with 2 bonus tracks. The Liar, so I've never heard that song, and then a live version of Miracle Man. And I've always liked Ozzy Osbourne over the years, but when I was a young teenager, what got me into Ozzy more than anything wasn't Randy Rhoads, as it was for many people, but it was Zakk Wylde. And this is Zakk Wylde's first appearance album with Ozzy. And it's wild to think, because it says here, following the departure of Jakey Lee, No Rest for the Wicked, Ozzy's 5th studio outing, he saw then, which was the 21-year-old guitarist Zakk Wylde coming on board Ozzy's Wild Crazy Train. And I gotta say, he was 21 years old and he's playing riffs like this. And if you love guitar playing, heavy metal, you can't do any wrong with Zakk Wylde. He is one of the greats. Speaking of White Stripes, this is Jack White's newest solo album. It doesn't have a name. It's called No Name. It's got no album art or anything like that. It's just blue. And I've kind of been in and out of Jack's solo work. I appreciate that he experiments with his music and his different tastes of music. And I appreciate, kind of like Maynard, he's a guy that has so much music and collaborations with friends that he makes several bands. He's got the Dead Weather, the White Stripes at one point, solo stuff, and then he's got the Rock Hunters. So I find that this album actually is kind of a return a bit to the White Stripes. It's not the White Stripes, but it sounds kind of like the songwriting that he had done. And like that song, That's How I'm Feeling, that sounds like that was the song that made me want to get the album. It sounds like a White Stripes album to me. Moving on though, we got Marilyn Manson's newest album, One Assassination Under God, and I absolutely think this is a return to form for Manson. Manson is one of my absolute favorite artists, but I love his body of work from the 90s when he was more involved with Trent Reznor, and he was more heavy and industrial. After Mechanical Animals, I love Mechanical Animals, but after Mechanical Animals, I kind of started to lose interest in the musical direction that he was going. And I still always was curious enough to keep tabs with what he was doing musically, and there were some releases in between I thought were great. But overall, I didn't really buy many of his albums. This is the first studio album of Manson's that I bought in, like, I don't even know, many years. And it's great, and I'm looking forward to part 2 that's coming out. He just recently announced, too, that Tim Skold has returned to the band. And if you know Tim Skold, he's part of the industrial juggernaut sort of musical landscape. He's played with Kim FDM quite a bit over the years, and so this might be a good return for Manson. He might get more heavy again with the upcoming albums. I'm excited either way. And this is a really fun, interesting one. This is a band called Union, and if you're all familiar with the 80s bands, Kiss, clearly, and Motley Crue, 2 new members that came in to replace original members, which is Bruce Kulick, guitar player for Kiss. I was never really a big Kiss fan, but he came on Kiss in the 90s when they were doing the no makeup, and they were trying to be a little bit more, I guess, aggressive or alternative or whatever. And then John Corabi came into Motley Crue at the same time in the 90s, replacing Vince Neil, becoming the new singer. And I have to say that the self-titled Motley Crue album with John Corabi is probably one of my favorite albums. I didn't even know who John Corabi was, and I picked up that self-titled album randomly at a pawn shop one time, thinking it was a Motley Crue album with Vince Neil. And when I put it on and I heard Power to the Music, I was like, what the hell is this am I listening to? But it was incredible. So anyway, after they were replaced with the original guitarist, Ace Frehley, and Vince Neil came back, it's pretty cool that the 2 outcasts came together and formed a band called Union. And this is the live album. They were only released 2 studio albums, and the live album. At the time, I was excited for this because they did some cover songs of their respective bands. And when they did a song of, or they played a cover of Power to the Music of the Motley Crue album, at the time, this is way back when there wasn't really much internet and stuff like that, so I never heard any of the live stuff of the Motley Crue with John. So hearing a live version of Power to the Music, and of course a lot of the classic songs that they wrote, and they do a lot of other songs, like they do Man in the Moon, John Corabi's first band, The Scream, and some of the Kiss songs and stuff. So that's a great one to go through. And I gotta say, like, when people, it's a fun question when people ask, you meet somebody new and they ask, what type of music are you into? Everybody says, a little bit of everything. But I think that's a great way to be, because I don't like to stay in one particular musical style or genre. There's just so much good music out there. Now, there's always the, heavy metal and stuff like that I always go back to, but I always kind of need to step away from that. And I love the blues and I love pop music. There's some fantastic pop music. And then everything else in between. I don't really like jazz so much. That's not really for me. I love hip hop, but I love mostly like older hip hop that I grew up with, like 80s and early 90s hip hop. I grew up with like Naughty by Nature and Belle Biv DeVoe and the whole Dr. Dre stuff was amazing too. That was an incredible time in music. Death Row Records and stuff like that. Snoop Dogg. And but anyway, getting back into this, this is a really incredible album too. This is Lazarus. I'm going to open this up. So when David Bowie was recording his last album, Black Star, he was also going through cancer and his health issues, but he was very busy keeping himself creative. He wrote an album, and then he was also going to make a musical of his musical catalog, and Lazarus was the name that they used for it. And this is a 2 CD set, and it's incredible. It's David Bowie's music done as a play or a musical. And then on disc 2, there is a few tracks where David Bowie performs some of the songs from his new album. And he was so ill and sick that he never really performed anything from that album at any format except for this, as far as I'm aware. But I absolutely love David Bowie. Now, for music, it's been a while since a new artist or a new band or has really kind of just knocked me on my feet, knocked my socks off, so to speak. And but this band, a year ago I didn't even know who they were, and now they're one of my absolute favorite artists, and that is Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. This band is new. They only have 2 albums, and this is the second one, Come of Age, and then I also have the first album, and this one's called Thanks for Coming. And there's the band musicians. Now, the great thing about this is that the lead singer is well known. He's an actor, Michael C. Hall, who plays Dexter. He has an incredible voice, and you never would have known that, being that he's an actor and he does a lot of acting in shows and stuff. He doesn't sing on Dexter or anything like that, or 6 Feet Under. But one thing I come to know is that Michael C. Hall was handpicked by David Bowie to play and sing in this musical, to perform David Bowie's catalog. And when you listen to Michael C. Hall sing David Bowie, it is very, very, very eerie how similar and close they are. And I think it's really cool that Michael C. Hall kind of really got handpicked by David Bowie. And I highly recommend Princess Goes. They're now currently finishing their 3rd album, and I cannot wait for that to drop. Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum. After the 2nd album, they dropped that name and cut it short to just Princess Goes. But check them out. Next on the list is Love Fleetwood Mac. And this is the first time I'm aware that this was ever released, which is Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. They were a couple, and they're also a musical duo. This is what they had recorded together just before they joined Fleetwood Mac. If anything, this might have had some factoring into Mick Fleetwood bringing them on board. And I'm not sure why it was never released before, but especially with the popularity of Fleetwood Mac. And this goes back to 1973, before I was even born. But this is a beautiful album. One of a kind. There's only the one album. I don't think they've ever done an album after that together. So I think that's just a one-off. Next up, we're going to go a little bit heavier. In Flames. And love this album. And it's called Soundtrack to Your Escape. I remember a dear friend of mine introduced me to In Flames, and for heavy metal, they're incredible. Next up, we got Billy Howerdel. This is a solo album of his. It's a second outing. He had another band called Ashes Divide, but it was really him. He just gave it a band name, but in this album he goes by his actual name, and this album is phenomenal. If you love like 80s goth, like Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, KMFDM, Danzig, all kinds of these artists. This is amazing. And if you don't know who Billy Howerdel is, he is the lead guitarist and founding member of Perfect Circle. And then last up, we have the mighty Zakk Wylde with his Zakk Sabbath. And I absolutely love Zakk Wylde. Love Zakk Wylde. And there's another Zakk Sabbath album that's a double album that probably next time I'm out buying albums, I'm going to be picking it up if it's still there. It goes fast. And then last for the music stuff, I picked up this. This is a local band in my area, The Bloody Hell. And this is a cassette of their second album. I have this album also on CD. And I'm a big fan of theirs, and I will do what I can to support this fantastic band. I filmed them last year. I spent quite a bit of time filming a lot of local music acts. And if you're curious at all as to hear The Bloody Hell, I do have a video I recorded of one of their performances at Gus's Pub. And I have some other performances of theirs that I've recorded, and I just got to kind of go through and re-edit them and post them. But The Bloody Hell, check them out on my YouTube. They're awesome. Alright, we're almost at the end. Just a couple DVDs. And this is a fun one. Do you guys remember this? It's a documentary. It was a guy who just got into filmmaking accidentally. I can't remember the exact story of it, but it's Metal Headbanger's Journey. And I mean, for the sign of the times, it's got all the incredible artists. It's got Tony Iommi, Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, Dee Snider, Twisted Sister, Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie, Vince Neil, Ronnie James Dio, who's now passed, and Lemmy from Motorhead, who's also passed. And yeah, so I mean, this is definitely an incredible moment in time for this type of music. I watched this when it first came out, and then there was a second video they did, Global Metal. I didn't like that one as much. I think it was spreading itself a little too thin, perhaps. But this is a fantastic documentary. And then we got Great Ozzy. When Ozzy passed, I was, like many others, we were just all devastated. And so I picked up these old DVDs at a pawn shop. I love this one. I used to have this on VHS. Yeah, Don't Blame Me, The Tales of Ozzy Osbourne. This was filmed around the No More Tears era. And then we got Ozzy live at Budokan. And Zakk Wylde returns as his guitar player for the tour. So, there's that. And then last, we're going to just talk about a little, speaking of Ozzy, some magazines. I picked this up, which is the Guitar World issue after Ozzy passed. They put him on the cover, which is interesting because Ozzy's been on Guitar World magazine for many, many covers, and he's not a guitar player, you know, and he's always usually featured with his guitar players like Zakk Wylde or anybody else that he's had over the years, you know, but and there's a great interview in here with Jakey Lee, because it's Jakey Lee was part of the Back to the Beginning show, and I guess Jakey Lee and Ozzy hadn't seen each other or spoke to each other since they worked together in the 80s. So it was a great reunion for the two of them. And then after Ozzy passed, of course, they have these beautiful magazine compilations of the career of like Black Sabbath, the Ozzy years, even some Dio in there, and then the Ozzy Osbourne solo years. And I absolutely love this magazine. I absolutely love it. I love going through the pictures. I love reading all the old interviews. And yeah, so that's it. I do have one honorable mention. It's not music related, but for any hobo that's out on the road, you need to have yourself a good flask for a drink. And my friend Kitasu, he gifted me this the other day, an Autobots flask. I didn't even think that this they would make something like this. Can you imagine? Just but that's cool. So anyway, thanks for that. So that concludes my music pickups the last little while. I'm going to probably do more videos like this because I think they're great fun too, sharing music, and it's not just all about games and stuff too. I think like I said, music, I cannot live without music. When I go into town, you'll see in many videos, I always got my headphones on, and those headphones sound incredible. When I got the music on and I had a little, you know, a little puff, music just puts you right in your glory. I'm on another level. Sometimes I'm just so happy. It doesn't matter if it's snowing, raining, as long as I got my music and it's blasting and I'm having a good time. I got a tea. I can usually get through any kind of storm within reason, of course. But it makes for traveling a lot better and a lot more enjoyable. So, but I do have a guitar and I do have some other music stuff. So maybe I'll do more videos like this, and we'll expand upon it. And I just did Pawn Shop Guitars. That was a great video. So anyway, friends, I hope you enjoyed my music pickups, and let me know if you have any of these albums, or if they're on your radar, and let me know what you've picked up lately for music, like what's a great album or a great song that you've been just really hooked on, and you just can't get it out of your head. Some of those are the best songs, you know. So with that, I think it's time for me to make a tea and yeah, listen to some music. All right, friends, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. The bloody hell.